Hello, my name is Kamaal and this is the Peng Sports Podcast, episode 16. It is June the 16th. I'm just realizing that as I'm reading the script. It is 7:10 a.m. As per usual. How's your week going? Good, I hope. If it's not, there is another week next week. And if that doesn't go well, there's another week the week after that. Nothing's guaranteed, but you probably have more time and you probably have a chance to make a week better than your last. If you're not having a good one. If you're having a good one, try to make the next week even better. And if you're having a bad one, same advice. Try to make the next one even better. Now, on to the sports, on to what you came for. To the Western Conference of the National Basketball Association's playoffs. The one team, the Suns, have already punched their ticket to the Western Conference Finals. I said 5, they did it in 4, a sweep. Now, you've heard everything. Chris Paul, phenomenal. Devin Booker, phenomenal. DeAndre Ayton, phenomenal. You've heard all that. But maybe not the main takeaway, but probably the thing that surprised me or the thing I appreciate the most from this series or got out of the series was watching the Denver Nuggets at the end of Game 4, right? If rushed the game or even slightly monitored it, when Jokic probably went out with 2 to 3 minutes left in the third quarter, you guys probably cut it off a little bit. You sort of knew the outcome, so you probably didn't watch it as much, or you did. But if you did, I believe that the Nuggets showed us something that night. And I also believe in life, you're defined by what kind of person you want to be or what kind of person you are in very select moments. And I think it's bigger than winning a Western Conference semifinals. It's bigger than winning a game. It's bigger than winning a championship. Most basketball purists won't pick up on this. Most people will not pay attention to things like this. But there's people like me who look at things like this. See, the Nuggets had every excuse. As I said earlier, Jokic got ejected in the third quarter. I believe MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., was a little hobbled. I know he definitely had a back problem in Game 2. I remember I think he was looking at his shoulder or something. He got called back on a foul or something. But Michael Porter wasn't 100%. At least didn't look 100%. Will Barton was supposed to be on a minutes restriction. Coming back from an injury. Morris was a little hobbled. I saw him getting ice on his knee towards the end during the fourth quarter. JaVale McGee, apparently the Shaq and the Full champion, that guy, who barely played in the series, had to play more. Aaron Gordon hadn't had a good series. All excuses that personally I would have accepted, but I was looking to see how the Denver Nuggets would respond to Jokic being injured. I believe they were down by a little less, is around 10. It was either 8, 9, 10, or 11, 12, or it was 10, around that area. They had an excuse to give up, and if they gave up, it would have been cool. No one would have cared. They probably would have said the same thing about Chris Paul and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Miles Bridges and Sarge and campaign as they said the prior Tuesday and Monday. Great, they're phenomenal, great. But the Denver Nuggets stepped up and they played very well. Not enough to win the game, but they showed me that they're the kind of people that I can root for. They've made a fan out of Kamaal Daniels. Maybe not out of you. I don't really care. I care about your feelings. But respect to the Denver Nuggets. I'm pulling for the Denver Nuggets. Jokic's back. Jamal Murray probably won't be back until next time. January, February, March this year, 2022. But I'm pulling for the Nuggets. Oh, the Nuggets do well. I gained a lot of respect for the Nuggets. Already liked Mike Malone. Always respected they had an African American general manager. But I have a profound respect for the Denver Nuggets. And congrats to the Suns for making the Western Conference Finals. And congrats to the Suns MVP, DeAndre Ayton. So far. Chris Paul's been great, but DeAndre Ayton's been their MVP in my opinion. On to the other series in the Western Conference. Clippers and Jazz. Now, what to make out of this series? What do you think? If I didn't know any better, I would say this is exactly how we probably expected the series to go. No? Is that not too hot of a take, or maybe you expected the Jazz to win one in LA and the Clippers to win one in Utah. But I expected it to be a 2-2 series. But when Game 4 was over with. Now, does that change my prediction? No. Clips in 6. But what I noticed from watching this series and watching the playoffs and watching from the Clippers to Cavaliers to now the Clippers, I've noticed that Ty Lue is one of the best out-of-game adjusters in the league. Excuse the dog barking in the background. What I mean by this is Ty Lue, being one of the best out-of-game adjusters in the league, is before the game, I think he's spectacular. I believe when he sits the team down and they go over what we're going to do in the game, I believe he's phenomenal at that, spectacular at that. I think his in-game adjustments could improve because game one, it looked like he had a plan going into game one. Worked. And then they sort of lost it towards the end. And then they couldn't really adjust from it. I also believe, I said that his in-game adjustments need some work. In game 2, it somewhat worked a little bit. I do believe it's somewhat up by 20. Clippers were able to come back. It's tough to come out with the same intensity as you did in the first half with game 2. But game 3, phenomenal. I didn't really see too many adjustments Ty Lue made during the game. Initially they came out strong and they finished strong. I didn't really see too many huge in-game adjustments. Game 4, same way. In-game adjustments. Out-of-game adjustments. They started the game well, and they pretty much coasted through that with using that same game plan. Of course, it helps when Morris is hitting a 3. Hitting threes like he was, but hey. But Another thing that I picked up from this series is I think Kawhi Leonard dunks on people the hardest. And I say this because he totally just, palms the ball and then yanks it back with no disruption, no fumbling, just palms it, grasp it, and just yams it in. A lot of people, they hold it with their hand and place it on their wrist and cup it somewhat, and they fumble it and they're sort of guiding it in and they barely graze the rim. That kind of thing. And they dunk on someone. It's With Kawhi, he's grabbing the ball with his five fingers, tips of his fingers, yanking it back, rising. He's not affected, just totally absorbs the other defender and MJ Space Jams it. Anyone who's familiar with the great work of MJ and Space Jam, highlight of his career, if I do say so myself. And that's what he does. And I don't think people understand how dirty and disrespectful it is when he does something like that. So I'm going to put my ballot in as Kawhi Leonard voted most nastiest in-game dunker on people in the NBA. Right now. Of course, it didn't live back in the day. But just consistent disrespectfulness of dunking on people. But as I said, clips and 6 for the series. And Donovan Mitchell is top 3 players under 25. Just let everyone know. I didn't know I thought it was sort of a thing going on. Players top 25 players under 25. Top 5 players under 25. Everyone's been doing this list. I've been seeing all over the internet. I've been hearing a lot of Luka. I've been hearing a lot of Zion. I've been hearing a lot of Jason Tatum. I've been hearing a lot of Ja. And all those players are really, really good. Really good. Will be Hall of Famers one day, probably. But they're watching the Western Conference Finals, semifinals like us at home. I'm just saying. On to the east side of the NBA. Yeah. I'm feeling a little spicy today. I'm feeling a little spicy today. Feeling a little spicy. Now to the first series in the Eastern Conference. Trae or Luka? I mean, there's something I thought. I don't know what that. Trae or Luka? What was that? I mean, Hawks versus 76ers. These two teams have actually surprised me a little bit. And I'm not necessarily surprised at the series being 2-2 because I believe I said Sixers in 7. I'll have a comment on that a little later in the podcast. But in Game 3, before Game 3, and for some parts of Game 2, I definitely thought this series was over. Well, not over, but I definitely thought the Hawks were going to win. Before Game 3 and in part of Game 2, I was like, oh, this series is over. The Hawks are about to... In Game 2, I thought this series is over. Game 3, I said the Hawks are going to win. And 76ers. Got to give it up. Show some grit. Can't call them not tough. I don't think you can. Maybe your definition of cut tough, or at least they show some grit. I That's what I saw. In Game 4, 76ers controlling it. 76ers controlled Trae Young. Oh, Trae Young, it's a too physical game. His shoulder was hurting. This is a hard knock life. You know, the playoff theme song is that Drake song, What's Next? The playoff theme song the playoff theme song should be A Hard Knock Life by Jay-Z. I'm not going to sing it, but that should be the playoffs, and Trae Young's experiencing that right now. It's a hard knock life. But Trae Young balled. I think he dropped 9 in the third, 8 in the fourth, stepping up. That's 17 points. I think he dropped 23 that night, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, man. I even told a dude from Atlanta that I know. I said, "This is over for you, man. It's over." And he said, "Yeah." But in comeback fashion, the Hawks showed me something. And that's impressive. I don't care what you tell me. 2 teams that have definitely surprised me. 2 teams going into this series where I was fine with what happened with the Hawks. They won the first series. Good for them. But you're playing the 76ers. And 76ers, I thought it was going to be somewhat a disappointing series. I think the Hawks would have pushed them 7 games and would have been disappointing series for them going into this next series against the Nets or the Bucks. I thought it was just going to be a poor time for them. But both teams very, very impressive. This Eastern Conference Finals is going to be very, very interesting. And that's why I've decided for this series to rescind my pick. Yes, I'm no longer picking the 76ers to win the series. I am also not picking the Hawks to win this series. It's a toss-up, and I'm not going to argue with anyone who picks the Hawks tonight. I believe they play tonight, Wednesday. I'm not going to argue with you if you pick the 76ers tonight. I'm not. You're not getting an argument out of Kamaal Daniels. You're not. So that's why I'm rescinding my pick, because I have no clue this series is a toss-up. It's a win-win for me. African-American coaches going to the Eastern Conference Finals no matter what. We already got 1 in the Western Conference Finals. Let's get 2 in the Western Conference Finals, Clippers. Let's see what we can do. But anyways, I'm rescinding my pick of the Sixers winning, but I'm keeping my prediction of it going to 7 games. How about that? I keep the 7 games prediction. Sixers, I'm not picking them anymore. I'm out the game. Oh, come on, what are you doing? You're taking out your pick. I don't care. It's not. This isn't make or break me. You're not defined by your opinions. If you're wrong, you're not defined by that. Know that. You're not defined by your opinions. But I'm keeping the 7 games pick. Okay? To their opponents that I mentioned earlier, the Nets versus Bucks. I think yesterday was the best game of the playoffs. What do you think? No? Hot take? I thought it was the best game of the playoffs. Of course, Portland, Denver, solid. But yesterday was a game, man. Brought me to tears, man. I'm getting emotional right now. Phenomenal game. And a lot of people today are going to come after Giannis. They're most likely going to speak highly of KD. But what Giannis did yesterday was nothing less than spectacular. And I need some respect on Giannis' name. All I hear is he cannot step up. His game isn't perfect for the NBA. He's not going to be a superstar if he can't get a jump shot. And what does Giannis do? A man with no jump shot. Even though he made threes yesterday, he has really no jump shot for a guy who makes jump shots. Making threes and making... Anyways. Stepping up in the fourth. Stepping up in the third when the Nets went on that little series. That little streak when they came back in the game. Who was the guy going to the free throw line? Who was the guy hitting and ones? Who was the guy totally dictating the offense yesterday? Wasn't Chris Middleton. Wasn't Drew Holiday. Love Drew Holiday. Love Chris Middleton. Wasn't them. It was Giannis going to the free throw line. He missed 3 free throws yesterday, just to let you know. He went 5 for 8, if I'm not mistaken. 3 free throws. Stopping the momentum. Controlling the tempo of the game. Absolutely playing spectacular. For a guy who can't shoot a jump shot, he averages 30 points a game. In a league where it's not built for him, he balls. Yeah, he fumbled the ball at the end. But who cares? Who cares? He balled. Every day in and day out, Giannis Antetokounmpo balls. But every day, all I hear is he's not a superstar. 2-time MVP isn't a superstar. I have a take for you. Put Giannis on the Nuggets and put Jokic on the Bucks. There's no difference. Bucks are probably a 3 seed in the East with Jokic. Denver's probably a 3 seed with Giannis. Same thing with Chris Paul. Put Chris Paul on the Bucks and put Giannis on the Suns. Same exact thing. Same exact result. All this of Giannis isn't a superstar player. All right, you pick him. You don't pick him. I'll take him. I'm done with this Giannis hate, man. It just... But I'm telling you, I'm just going to give you guys a warning. You have your own free heart. I'm telling you, if you listen to a commentator and they bring up Giannis missing 3 free throws or Giannis fumbling the ball at the end of the game, I suggest you do not listen to them anymore. I'm not saying you listen to me more. Don't. But I'm just going to say they do not know basketball. I'm no basketball expertise, but I'm going to tell you this. I would suggest you don't watch them. I'm warning you. You don't have to totally agree with me, but Giannis is playing phenomenal. Drew Holiday is playing solid. This Bucks team is playing well. Now, on to the winning team. Congratulations to the Nets for winning yesterday. Put some respect on Giannis' name. I'll say it again. To the Beard, James Harden. You couldn't really say anything bad about him before. You know. Maybe don't like how he gets fouls. But, and people will call him weak. Well, that's no longer true. He's not weak. Because the man played on a hurt hamstring. And if you watch the end of game 4 the other day, that Nets team looked discombobulated. They did not know what to do. If you watched the game yesterday, that Nets team looked organized with James Harden in the game. I don't know how, man. He played 30 plus. How many minutes he played, but he played at least 30 plus. At least 30 plus. Well, I know he played 30 plus. He may have played 40. For a guy who only cares about scoring, he looked pretty like a team player to me. I'm just saying. I just wonder what other people what we're gonna hate on him for next time. What we're gonna hate on him for in the Eastern Conference Finals. What are we gonna hate on him for? Because you always gotta find something to hate on him. That's what I'm curious about. Because of course you don't have to love what he did in Houston, but what are we gonna hate on him for? What? Because yesterday he played good defense against Giannis with the hurt hamstring. You remember that play. I believe it's 140-something in the 4th. I'm just saying. Now, KD. I get too riled up. I don't need to defend that guy. On to Euros. There's no way you can hate on that man. I don't want to hear it. If someone criticizes Kevin Durant, I suggest you cut them out your life. Because they're called haters. There's no need to hate on him. He is phenomenal. And I'm going to say it again. Giannis is phenomenal. James Harden is phenomenal. I'm going to say this. Paul George is phenomenal. Stop coming after Paul George. I'm sick of the Paul George slander. I know we're not talking about the Clippers. We're talking about the Nets. But I'm sick of the Paul George slander, man. I'm sick of it. I'm just saying. Baller. Balls out every game. You guys want to bring the side of the backboard every day? You haven't been talking about how much this man balls. Every time he plays a bad game, you guys are quick to criticize this man. Quick. But every time he has a good game, I don't see anything on Twitter or Instagram or social media. I don't hear any other podcast people appreciating this man. But every time he has a bad game, you guys are front page. And I'm sick of it. I'm not going to do anything about it. But I'm allergic. I'm starting to get allergic. My health is deteriorating because of all the hate you guys have with Paul George, and Giannis. Appreciate these guys, man. Because you guys would complain if they lost. You guys always complain if they lose. Now when they ball, you still find a way to nitpick. I'm sick of it. Appreciate these guys. Stop hating on these people. Your hoop dreams didn't work out. It's all right. It wasn't your path. But you don't have to hate on these other guys, man. I'm telling you. But anyways, for real, on to the Euros. Man. Put respect on these people's names. But with the Euros, with week 1 in the books, who's been the most impressive team so far? Ukraine, Czech Republic. But who has been the most impressive team? With week 1 in the books. And I'm going to just go over the powers really quick. I'm just going to talk about them. I'm not going to get into all the smaller teams. Shout out to David Alaba, my favorite player, winning with Austria. But most impressive team so far has probably been, in my opinion, Belgium. Right? Of course, yeah, Russia, but a team that made the World Cup semifinals in 2018. Of course, it was home, but still, that's not bad. And they have a very similar team. It's not wildly different. Impressive by Belgium. They look the most complete. They look dangerous going forward. They look really solid at the back without Kevin De Bruyne there. I'll say the most impressive team so far has been Belgium. Took care of business. Of course, maybe he was offside Lukaku. That was a weird one, right? But 3-0, very impressive. Now, yesterday, France-Germany played. And I really enjoyed that game. I may have enjoyed it for the wrong reasons because going into the game, I definitely thought France was going to be this machine, this unbeatable machine, this juggernaut. And they look beatable. They definitely look like they can win the tournament, but they looked beatable. And I was sort of happy for that. Like, it's not going to be a Spain tournament where everyone's just really fighting for second place. You know, in Spain back in 2008 Euros, 2012 Euros, it was sort of like, there's no really point in playing this. Like when Alabama has a really good team in the college football playoffs, it's sort of like, no really a point in this, but we'll participate. But with N'Golo Kante doing his thing and Pogba doing his thing, this team is dangerous, man. Especially going forward, every time they tacked, they look dangerous. They scored like 3 goals yesterday, right? Yeah, they scored 3 goals yesterday. And Mbappe was offsides, phenomenal finish. Benzema offside. Well, Mbappe was offside again, but the Benzema goal, called back, offsides. They look dangerous every time. By far the most dangerous offensive team. Only scare, and this is how good this team is. My only real scare about this French side is Kimpembe. Kimpembe is the biggest scare, and if I had to give him a rating out of 10 yesterday, he played a 7 out of 10, which is not bad. Not bad game at all. That was one of their worst plays. The only scare I have is their other center back, who would still start on literally every other international team. Start in Spain, he start in Brazil, he start United States, England, start everywhere. So that's how nitpicky I'm being. But just really well. And Lloris always scares you a little bit. But England. On to England. A lot of people's favorites. Apparently they're dark horse, I guess. Very dark horse. Not a lot of people have them going too far. I have them going to this quarters, minimum. But is it just me, or do they play like a ball of nerves? Like, what are they doing? What are we doing in England? Why is England players so nervous? They play like a ball of nerves. I see it. I feel it from the screen, my television. I feel it. I feel how worried and how scared England play. Head and Shoulders look more organized, look better coached, look to be more talented, more threatening offensively. But they just look nervous. Completely nervous, like scared to make a mistake. Mason Mount doesn't play with as much freedom. Everyone's always wondered why Calvin Phillips, I believe that's his name. But Phillips, he's Jamaican actually, so I didn't know that. Why did Phillips and Rice, I'm just stick to the last names. Declan Rice, I believe is his name is. But why did they play so well? Because they really have the least amount of pressure on them. Get a tackle in there, distribute it out to the wings. That's all they really have to do. Give it to your wingbacks and give it to your wingers. Not a lot of pressure. Big role they have, but not a lot of pressure. They don't have a lot of responsibility, a lot of job. They don't have a lot of job. New saying. You know? And that's why I believe they played so well. Just look tight. Hopefully they can play a little bit more freedom, got the win off their back. Play a little bit looser, take a deep breath. But goodness gracious, England. I think they just need to delete all social media. Put blinders on, block everything, because they really do look good. A lot better than I thought they did. But onto a team that maybe has more pressure on them, but no one's going to say it. Netherlands. They haven't been to a major tournament or done well in a major tournament in the past few times. Did they make the last Euros? 2016 Euros, did they make it? I believe they did, but it wasn't too hot. They didn't do too well in that tournament. And then in They didn't make the last World Cup. They have more pressure to improve, to impress people. Played Ukraine 2-2. And that's the great thing about this Dutch team. I think that's how every game's going to be. Entertaining. I believe they get to the quarterfinals as well. They could always play a third place side. They can play a Turkey in the, right? I don't know who they play. But they play a third place team. I think they get first in their group. But that's what I expect from that Dutch side. Entertainment. Goals for them, goals for the other team. That's all you really want. Passion. If you want to see a game, see a team play, and you're trying to get into football, I suggest you watch Netherlands. Now, if you want to see a game played, I guess, the beautiful way, everyone talks about the beautiful game, the beautiful way, I suggest you watch Spain. But don't watch them for the goal scoring. Watch them for the possession, how they use possession to defend, and how they use possession to attack. They struggle finishing. But if Morata catches fire somewhat, can finish one of his chances, that team's going to be very, very dangerous. It's going to be a tough out with Thiago. They have a decent defense. Pedri looks good. I believe they should play a little bit more Traore. I think Spain, a lot of people are going to Rodrigo. I said Rodri. Yeah, Rodri. I think he's solid. I think the Spain team has potential. First game, they score more. When you have an experienced style like Sweden, who has the chemistry, games like that's going to happen. They lost their first game against Switzerland in the World Cup 2010. I believe that's been brought up probably 20 times every time they lose or not have a great result since 2010. But I'm just saying. Italy. I have no clue with Italy. Legit, not legit. I think the book still is not fully published on Italy. I think they have somewhat a striking problem. I don't know if they know their best lineup. It's a tough one. I don't know old dude's name. I forgot his name. But he's wearing black cleats. I believe he got the assist on the second goal. But he is a baller. I'm looking him up right now. Hold up. Give me a break. Alright, I don't really know how to pronounce his name. I'll be honest with you. Domenico Bernardi. There's probably an Italian accent on that. But baller. I think he plays for, let me see who he plays for. I don't know. He plays for the Green Sampdoria. I think that's the team. He plays for Sassuolo. Small team. Not a small team. And Italy is sort of big, but I'll say they're the Crystal Palace of Italy. If that's a stretch, no. I don't know. But solid player. By far the best player on that team. But a win's a win. Against Turkey, solid team. Sionchu's good. Solid defense, solid team. If I were to say Sweden or Turkey, I would probably take Turkey. But last, but certainly not least, Portugal. The only thing about Portugal is I think their manager, Fernando Santos, is sort of getting used to this new style of football that they play. And what I mean by that is, in Euros 2016, the way they won, stout at the defense at the back, don't let anyone through. They can have possession, but we don't let them concede. We don't concede. And then we give the ball to Cristiano. We get him on the break, or we get him on a counterattack. And it was sort of the same philosophy in the World Cup, and that sort of got him in the World Cup. If that makes sense. That sort of got him. Because they had so many attacking, expansive players, they tried to play the same way they won the Euros, and it didn't really work out. Now I think they had to play a more expansive, a more tiki-taka, possession style, faster play, because they're the team who's going to be the aggressor. Most times, they're the better team. Now, they have a lot of ballers on their team. So many. It's a good problem to have. But Bernardo Silva, Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, I don't know, they say it weird. Maybe I'm probably saying it weird. Fernandes, something along those lines. Andre Silva, Sanchez, Diaz. You know? Is Pereira on that team? Did Pereira make that team for Leicester City? Leicester City right back? Because he didn't play. Yeah, I believe he's injured, actually. I think he's injured. I could be wrong. He could be on the team. But talented. I actually have them probably, if I were to change any of my predictions from last week, I would say Portugal's going to finish first. I believe they can get France. I believe it'll be an interesting game against Germany. But, speaking of Germany, let's talk about Germany. I think they should play Sané a little bit earlier. I think they should. It's tough. I think they put Havertz in. Don't start Havertz. Start Sané, Gnabry, Müller. Gnabry left or right, whatever you want to put him. Sané left or right, wherever you want to put him. Müller in the center. And then the same starting lineup as last time. That would be the only difference I make. Because they look dangerous. I just felt like sometimes in the first half, they sort of missed the speed of Sané. They could have played a through ball and they couldn't play it. They had to play it sort of to Kai Havertz's feet. And not put it in as much space as they wanted to be as dangerous. But they look good. They look solid. Look really well. Hopefully they can finish third and advance. Hopefully they can tie. I believe they tie Portugal, beat Turkey. If Turkey was in their group, beat Hungary. So, but yeah, they look really well against France. And if Hummels doesn't score an own goal, they end up with a point against the world champions. That's a win. Now, guys, this may be the shortest podcast one. I don't know my shortest one. But I have an announcement to make. I'm doing a giveaway. No, I'm not. I'm not doing a giveaway. I'm not. Take care of your own self. I'm not your caregiver. But I will not be doing the podcast next week on Wednesday. I know you're sad. I know you're distraught. You don't know what to do. But I will be posting it on Thursday next week. So June 6 plus 7 equals 23. So June 24th. Thursday, next Thursday, I will be posting a podcast, special edition Thursday morning Peng Sports Podcast. A day late, Don't ask me what I'm doing. I got some business to take care of. Grown man things, man. No, I'm joking. I'm good. Nothing's going on. But I will be posting it on Thursday. So expect the Peng Sports Podcast next Thursday. Same time, same everything, just different day. We'll be back the week after next. Unless I really enjoy Thursday podcast. Amen. Going with the flow, man. But anyways, thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Peng Sports Podcast. This is episode 16, week 16, whatever you want to call it. Call it. Thank you for listening. Please finish the week out strong. Finish the week out well. I know it's probably been a tough week, but you can get through it, man. Woman, person. Have a good week, and thank you for tuning in. This is Kamaal Daniels.